Maria Santos sat on her kitchen floor with her back against the old refrigerator. The stack of medical bills in her hands felt heavier than concrete blocks. Each paper showed numbers that made her stomach hurt. Danny needed another surgery, and she had no idea how to pay for it. Her 8-year-old son was sleeping in the next room. He looked so small in his bed, surrounded by pill bottles and medical equipment. The doctor said his condition was getting worse. They used big words that Maria didn't understand, but she knew what the bottom line meant. Without treatment, Danny might not make it to his 9th birthday. Maria wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. She had already worked 16 hours today, running between her morning job at the diner and her evening shift cleaning offices. Her feet hurt, her back ached, and she still didn't have enough money. The hospital wanted payment before they would schedule Danny's next procedure. She picked up her phone with shaking fingers. The screen was cracked from when she dropped it last week. She couldn't afford to fix it, just like she couldn't afford so many things. She scrolled through her contacts until she found her sister Lisa's number. Lisa lived in California now. She had a good job and a nice house. Maria hated asking for help, but she was out of options. She had already sold everything valuable she owned. Her car was falling apart, and she had been eating nothing but peanut butter sandwiches for 3 days. So Danny could have real meals. Maria started typing. Her fingers moved slowly on the broken screen. Some letters didn't work right, and she had to press them multiple times. Lisa, I need help. Danny needs surgery again, and I can't pay. The hospital wants $8,000 before they will do it. I have worked every extra shift I can get, but it's not enough. I don't know what else to do. Please, if you can help at all, I will pay you back somehow, I promise. Danny is getting sicker and I'm scared. I can't lose him. He's all I have left since Mike walked out on us. Please help me save my little boy. Maria. Read the message 3 times. She felt ashamed asking for money, but Danny's life was more important than her pride. She took a deep breath and pressed send. The message went out into the night, traveling through cell towers and cables to reach its destination. But Maria's broken phone had played a trick on her. The last digit of Lisa's number had changed when she saved it after getting her new phone. Instead of going to her sister in California, the message flew across the country to a penthouse office in New York City. Alexander Kane was still awake at 2 in the morning. He often worked late, but tonight was different. His enhanced senses were picking up strange signals from deep space. The readings were faint, but they worried him. As the secret leader of Earth's enhanced human defense program, he knew what those signals might mean. His phone buzzed on the glass desk. Alexander almost ignored it. Very few people had his personal number, and those who did knew better than to call this late unless it was an emergency. But something made him look at the screen. The message wasn't from anyone in his contacts. It was from a number he didn't recognize. Alexander's enhanced mind could process information much faster than a normal human brain. He read Maria's message in less than a second, but something about it made him read it again more slowly. The words hit him like a physical blow. His enhanced empathy sensors, designed to help him understand and protect humanity, were screaming at him. This wasn't a scam or a mistake. This was real desperation, real love, real fear. A mother was fighting to save her child's life. Alexander stood up from his desk and walked to the massive windows that looked out over the sleeping city. Somewhere out there, millions of people were living their lives, facing their own struggles. But this message had found its way to him for a reason. His enhanced abilities let him feel the genuine emotion behind Maria's words. She was telling the truth about everything. He looked at his phone again. The number had a Detroit area code. Alexander's fingers moved across his tablet, accessing databases that regular people couldn't even imagine. Within minutes, he had Maria's full information. Maria Santos, age 29, single mother, worked at Betty's Diner and Clean Corp office services. Her son Danny had a rare genetic condition that required expensive treatments. But as Alexander dug deeper into Danny's medical records, his enhanced brain started picking up patterns that the human doctors had missed. The boy's condition wasn't just rare. It was impossible. At least it should have been impossible for a normal human child. Alexander's hands began to shake as he realized what he was looking at. Danny's genetic markers were similar to his own. The boy wasn't just sick. He was changing, evolving, becoming something more than human, just like Alexander had years ago. This changed everything. Maria's accidental message hadn't just reached a wealthy businessman who might help out of kindness. It had reached the one person on earth who could understand what was really happening to her son. Alexander walked back to his desk and picked up his phone. He started typing a response, then stopped. How could he explain any of this? How could he tell a desperate mother that her son wasn't dying from a disease, but transforming into something that might be humanity's future? He deleted his first message and started again. For now, he would help with the immediate problem. The deeper truth about Danny would have to wait until he could figure out how to explain it without sounding insane. Maria, I got your message. I want to help you and Danny. The hospital bills will be taken care of tomorrow. You don't need to worry about the money anymore. I will make sure Danny gets the best medical care available. You are not alone in this fight. I will explain more soon, but for now, just know that help is coming. Everything is going to be okay. Alexander sent the message and immediately started making phone calls. Within an hour, he had arranged for Danny's medical bills to be paid and for the best pediatric specialist in the country to review the boy's case. But he knew this was just the beginning. Maria's accidental text had set something in motion that would change both their lives forever. And if Alexander's fears about those deep space signals were correct, it might also change the fate of the entire human race. Maria's phone buzzed at 3 a.m. She had finally fallen asleep on the couch, still holding the stack of medical bills. The sound made her jump awake. Her heart was racing as she grabbed the phone, expecting bad news from the hospital. Instead, she saw a message from the unknown number she had texted by mistake. Maria blinked several times, thinking she was still dreaming. She read the message again. Someone was offering to pay for Danny's surgery. All of it. Maria sat up straight, her mind spinning. This had to be some kind of joke or scam. People didn't just offer to pay thousands of dollars to strangers. She looked at the phone number again. It wasn't Lisa's number. She had sent her desperate message to a complete stranger. Her face turned red with embarrassment. Some random person now knew all about her problems, her fears, and how broke she was. But the message sounded real. It sounded like the person actually cared. Maria typed back with shaking fingers. I think I sent my message to the wrong number. I'm sorry to bother you. I was trying to reach my sister. Please just ignore what I said. The response came back in less than a minute. Don't apologize, Maria. I meant what I said. I want to help you and Danny. Check with the hospital in a few hours. The bills will be taken care of. Maria stared at the phone. How did this stranger know her name? She hadn't mentioned it in her first message. A cold fear crept up her spine. What if this person was dangerous? What if she had accidentally contacted some kind of criminal? But another part of her, the desperate mother part, whispered that maybe this was a miracle. Maybe someone up there was finally listening to her prayers. She couldn't sleep after that. Maria paced around her small apartment, checking on Danny every few minutes. He was still sleeping peacefully, his small chest rising and falling under his favorite blanket. He looked so innocent, so young. He had no idea how sick he really was. At 7 a.m, Maria's phone rang. It was Dr. Williams from the Children's Hospital. Ms. Santos, I have some very good news, the doctor said. An anonymous donor has paid for all of Danny's medical expenses. Not just the current bills, but all future treatments as well. We can schedule his surgery for this afternoon if you'd like. Maria dropped into a chair. Are you sure? All of it? Yes. And that's not all. We've arranged for Dr. Harrison from Johns Hopkins to fly in and assist with the surgery. He's one of the best pediatric specialists in the country. Your son is going to get the best possible care. Maria hung up the phone and started crying. But for the first time in months, they were tears of relief instead of fear. Later that morning, while Danny was being prepared for surgery, Maria tried to call the mysterious number. She wanted to thank whoever had helped them. But instead of ringing, she got a message saying the number was no longer in service. Alexander Kane watched the hospital through the tinted windows of his car. He had been monitoring the situation all morning through his various connections. Danny's surgery was going well, better than expected, but what he was seeing in the boy's medical readings was both fascinating and terrifying. During the operation, Danny's body was healing itself faster than normal. The surgeons thought it was just good luck, but Alexander knew better. The boy's enhanced genes were starting to activate, the same genes that had transformed Alexander years ago. Alexander's phone buzzed with an encrypted message from his second-in-command, Colonel Price. "The space signals are getting stronger. We might have company soon." Alexander typed back quickly. "How long do we have?" "Hard to say. Could be days. Could be weeks. But they're definitely coming." Alexander looked back at the hospital. Inside, a little boy was recovering from surgery, not knowing that he might be one of the keys to humanity's survival, and his mother was probably wondering if she was going crazy. That evening, Maria sat beside Danny's hospital bed. The surgery had gone perfectly. The doctor said they had never seen a patient recover so quickly. Danny was already sitting up and asking for ice cream. "Mom, who paid for my surgery?" Danny asked. Even at 8 years old, he was smart enough to know that his mother didn't have money for expensive medical procedures. "I don't know, honey. Someone very kind helped us." "Like an angel?" Maria smiled. "Maybe something like that." Her phone buzzed. Another message from the mysterious helper. "How is Danny feeling?" Maria looked around the hospital room, suddenly nervous. "He's doing great. The surgery went well. But I still don't understand why you helped us, and how did you know my name?" "I'm glad he's okay. You don't need to understand right now. Just know that Danny is very special, and there are people who want to make sure he stays safe and healthy." "Special how?" There was a long pause before the next message came. "He's different, Maria, in ways that will become clear soon. But different in a good way. He's going to be able to do things that other kids can't do." Maria felt that cold fear again. "Are you watching us? How do you know so much about my son?" "I'm not watching you. But I have access to his medical records, and I can see things that the doctors missed. Danny isn't sick, Maria. He's changing, growing into something more than what he was. You're scaring me. I think I should call the police. Please don't be afraid. I know how this sounds, but I'm like Danny. I went through the same changes when I was young. That's how I know what's happening to him." Maria stared at the phone. This stranger was claiming to be like her son. But like him how? "I don't understand any of this. Meet me tomorrow at Central Park by the fountain at noon. I'll explain everything. You deserve to know the truth about Danny and about what's coming." "What's coming?" "Changes, Maria. Big ones. And Danny is going to be important, in ways you can't imagine yet." Maria looked at her son, who was now sleeping peacefully in his hospital bed. He looked like any other 8-year-old boy, but the mysterious stranger was saying he was special, different. She thought about how quickly Danny had healed from the surgery, how he sometimes seemed to know things before they happened, how he could solve puzzles that were meant for much older kids. Maybe the stranger was right. Maybe Danny was special. But what did that mean for their future? Maria typed one more message. "If I meet you, how will I know who you are? I'll be the one who doesn't look surprised when Danny does impossible things. And Maria, bring Danny with you. It's time he started learning about what he really is." Maria put her phone away and held her son's hand. Tomorrow, she would get answers. But tonight, she just wanted to be grateful that her little boy was alive and healthy. She had no idea that her accidental text had connected her to someone who could protect Danny from dangers she couldn't even imagine, and she didn't know that. Those dangers were already on their way to Earth. Maria held Danny's hand as they walked through Central Park. The boy had insisted he felt fine enough to leave the hospital, and the doctors had been amazed at how fast he was healing. Danny was practically bouncing with energy, pointing out squirrels and asking a million questions about everything he saw. "Mom, why are we meeting this person?" Danny asked as they approached the fountain. "He helped pay for your surgery, honey. We need to thank him." But Maria was nervous. She had barely slept last night thinking about the strange messages. Part of her wondered if she was making a huge mistake bringing Danny to meet a stranger. But another part of her needed answers about what was happening to her son. A man in an expensive dark suit stood by the fountain watching the water. He looked to be in his 30s with dark hair and kind eyes. When he saw them approaching, he smiled and walked over. "Maria?" he asked gently. She nodded, pulling Danny a little closer to her side. "I'm Alexander Kane, thank you for coming." He knelt down to Danny's level. "And you must be Danny. How are you feeling after your surgery?" "Really good," Danny said, looking curious rather than scared. "Are you the person who helped my mom?" "I am. I'm very glad you're feeling better." Maria studied Alexander's face. He looked normal, successful, like any businessman she might see on the street. But there was something different about his eyes. They seemed to see more than they should. "Let's sit down," Alexander said, gesturing to a nearby bench. "I have a lot to explain." They sat down together with Danny between Maria and Alexander. The boy was fascinated by the fountain and kept turning to watch the water splash. "Danny," Alexander said quietly, "can you tell me about the dreams you've been having?" Maria turned to stare at her son. "What dreams?" Danny looked uncomfortable. "I didn't want to worry you, Mom, but I've been having weird dreams about flying and seeing things far away, and sometimes I dream about space, with big ships and strange people." Maria felt her heart skip a beat. "You never told me about any dreams. You already worry about me so much," Danny said softly. Alexander nodded like he understood. "Danny, those aren't just dreams. They're visions. Your mind is growing stronger, and it's starting to see things that are really happening." "What are you talking about?" Maria demanded. "Dreams are just dreams." Alexander looked at her seriously. "Maria, what I'm about to tell you will sound impossible, but I need you to listen with an open mind because Danny's life may depend on it." He paused, choosing his words carefully. 20 years ago, the government discovered that some humans were changing, evolving. Their DNA was becoming something new, something more advanced. These people developed abilities that normal humans don't have. "Like what kind of abilities?" Maria asked, though she wasn't sure she wanted to know. "Enhanced strength, faster healing, the ability to sense things from far away. Some can even communicate with each other through their thoughts." Alexander looked at Danny. "The dreams you're having aren't dreams, Danny. You're seeing through the eyes of others like you." Danny's eyes got wide. "There are other kids like me?" "Not many, but yes. And Danny, I'm like you too. I went through the same changes when I was about your age." To prove his point, Alexander picked up a heavy stone from near the fountain. He squeezed it in his hand, and Maria watched in shock as the stone crumbled to dust between his fingers. "That's impossible," Maria whispered. "A few days ago you would have said it was impossible for a stranger to pay for Danny's surgery too," Alexander said gently. "But here we are." Danny was staring at Alexander with fascination rather than fear. "Can you teach me to do that?" "Eventually, yes. But first we need to talk about why this is happening now." Alexander's expression became more serious. "The reason people like Danny are appearing isn't random. Something is coming to Earth, something from very far away, and the changes in human DNA seem to be our planet's way of preparing for it." "What kind of something?" Maria asked, though she was starting to feel like she was in a science fiction movie. "We've been detecting signals from deep space for the past few months. Ships are heading toward Earth. We don't know if they're friendly or not, but we need to be ready either way." Maria stood up suddenly. "This is crazy. Aliens and superpowers and evolving humans? This sounds like something from a comic book." "Mom," Danny said quietly, "remember when I told you I could hear the neighbor's dog barking even when it was inside their house? And how I always know when you're coming home from work, even when you're early or late?" Maria stared at her son. She had noticed those things, but she had just thought Danny was very observant. Alexander continued. "The enhanced humans aren't meant to fight these visitors. We think they're meant to communicate with them, to bridge the gap between human and alien minds." "So Danny is like some kind of translator?" More than that, the enhanced children seem to have a special connection to each other and to the approaching ships. Danny might be one of the most important people on Earth right now. Danny looked both excited and scared. Important how? We think you and the others like you are the key to making sure the first contact between humans and aliens goes well. Your abilities might help both species understand each other. Maria sat back down, feeling overwhelmed. I just wanted my son to be healthy and normal. He is healthy, Alexander said. Healthier than he's ever been. The surgery wasn't really necessary. His body was already healing itself. We just needed to make sure no one asked too many questions about why he was getting better so fast. So, he was never really sick? He was changing. The process can be uncomfortable and confusing, which is why it looked like illness to regular doctors. But he's not sick, Maria. He's becoming something amazing. Danny looked at his hands like he was seeing them for the first time. So the dreams about space are real? Very real. You're connected to the ships that are coming. Through you and others like you, we might be able to talk to them peacefully, instead of fighting. Maria felt torn between wonder and terror. Her son was special, but that also meant he was in danger. What if I don't want Danny involved in any of this? What if I just want to take him somewhere safe and quiet? Alexander's expression was kind but sad. I understand that feeling. But Maria, there isn't anywhere to hide from this. The changes in Danny are permanent, and the ships are coming whether we're ready or not. The best way to keep him safe is to help him understand and control his abilities. Danny stood up and walked to the fountain. He stared into the water for a moment, then turned back to them. I can see them, he said softly. In the water. The ships. They're beautiful and scary at the same time. Alexander and Maria joined him, at the fountain's edge. In the rippling water, Maria could swear she saw something that looked like silver ships moving through dark space. How long do we have? She asked. Not long, Alexander replied. Maybe a few weeks. That's why I need to start teaching Danny about his abilities right away. Maria looked at her son, who was still staring into the water with a look of wonder on his face. Her little boy was becoming something she didn't understand, and the world was about to change in ways she couldn't imagine. But as scary as it all was, she knew one thing for certain. She would do whatever it took to protect Danny and help him become whoever he was meant to be. 3 weeks had passed since the meeting at the fountain. Maria's life had changed completely. She and Danny now lived in a secure apartment building that Alexander owned. Danny spent his days learning to control his growing abilities with other enhanced children, while Maria tried to understand the new world she had been pulled into. Danny could now move small objects with his mind and talk to the other enhanced kids without speaking out loud. Sometimes Maria would find him staring out the window with a distant look in his eyes, and she knew he was seeing things far away through his special connection. Mom, they're almost here, Danny said one morning over breakfast. He was eating cereal, but his attention was somewhere else entirely. Who's almost here, honey? The visitors, the ones from the ships. I can feel them getting closer. Maria felt the familiar knot of worry in her stomach. Over the past weeks, she had learned to trust Danny's visions. If he said the aliens were coming, then they were coming. Her phone buzzed with a message from Alexander. Emergency meeting now. Bring Danny. They rushed to Alexander's office building. Maria had been there several times now, but she still felt amazed by how high up it was. From the top floor, you could see the entire city spread out below. When they arrived, the conference room was full of people Maria didn't recognize. Men and women in military uniforms sat around a large table with serious expressions. Alexander stood at the front of the room, pointing at a huge screen that showed what looked like space. They're here, Alexander announced as Maria and Danny entered. The ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel about an hour ago. They're just outside our solar system. On the screen, Maria could see several silver objects that looked like Danny's visions from the fountain. They were beautiful, but also somehow threatening, like sharks made of metal and light. How many ships? Asked a woman in a general's uniform. 12 large vessels, each about the size of a city. We estimate they could carry millions of beings. Danny walked closer to the screen, his eyes wide with recognition. "I know them," he said quietly. "I've been seeing them in my dreams for weeks." "What do they want?" Maria asked. Alexander looked grim. "We're about to find out. They're sending a message." The screen changed to show symbols that looked like nothing Maria had ever seen. They moved and shifted like living things, creating patterns that hurt to look at directly. But Danny stepped forward with excitement. "I can read it," he said. "It says they are the Zephyrians. They travel from world to world looking for planets with intelligent life." "That sounds good," Maria said hopefully. "There's more," Danny continued, his voice getting quieter. "They say they have found many worlds with life, but most species are defective. When they find defective species, they remove them to make room for better ones." The room fell silent. Everyone understood what that meant. "What makes a species defective?" asked the general. Danny closed his eyes, concentrating on the alien message. "Species that fight among themselves. Species that destroy their own planets. Species that can't work together." He opened his eyes and looked around the room. "They think most species are too selfish and violent to deserve to live. But they haven't attacked us yet," Alexander pointed out. "Why?" Danny stared at the screen again. "Because they found something interesting about humans. They found people like us. People who are changing. They want to study the enhanced humans before they decide what to do with Earth." "Study us how?" asked one of the other enhanced children, a girl about Danny's age named Katie. "They want to take some of us back to their ships, to see how we got our abilities. They've never seen a species that could change itself like this." Maria felt panic rising in her chest. "Take Danny? No, absolutely not." Alexander put a hand on her shoulder. "We're not going to let that happen, Maria. But we need to understand what we're dealing with." The screen flickered again and new symbols appeared. Danny translated quickly. "They're giving us a choice. We can give them 10 enhanced humans to study, and they'll leave the rest of Earth alone. Or they can take what they want by force. How long do we have to decide?" Alexander asked. 3 days, Danny said. The general stood up. "We could fight them, our nuclear weapons, our military technology. Against ships the size of cities?" Alexander shook his head. "We wouldn't stand a chance in a direct fight." "Then what do we do?" Maria asked. "We can't just hand over children to aliens." Danny was still staring at the screen, but now he had a strange expression on his face. "There's something else in the message. Something they don't want us to know." "What is it?" "They're not as sure about this as they want us to think. The message feels worried. Like they're afraid of something." "Afraid of what?" "Us. The enhanced humans. They've never seen anything like us before. Every other species they've found either had no special abilities, or their abilities came from technology. We're the first species they've found that developed powers naturally from the inside." Alexander leaned forward with interest. "What does that mean?" "I think it means they don't really understand what we can do. And that scares them." Over the next 2 days, the Zephyrian ships moved closer to Earth. They stopped just beyond the moon, close enough that people could see them in the night sky like new stars. The whole world was in panic. Governments were meeting in emergency sessions. Some people thought the aliens were saviors who would solve all of humanity's problems. Others thought they were demons come to destroy the world. But in Alexander's building, the enhanced humans were discovering something amazing. When they worked together, their abilities became much stronger. Danny and the other children could now see and hear things happening on the alien ships. They could feel the emotions of the beings inside. "They're not evil," Danny told Maria on the second night. "But they're not good either. They just think they're better than everyone else, like bullies at school who think they can pick on smaller kids. What are they thinking about us? They're confused. They expected humans to be like all the other species they found, scared and helpless. But the enhanced humans are something new. We can touch their minds, and they don't like that." On the third day, the Zephyrians sent another message. This time, they didn't just want 10 enhanced humans. They wanted all of them. The message says they've changed their minds, Danny translated. They think the enhanced humans are too dangerous to leave on Earth. They want to take all of us to make sure we can't become a threat to them later. How many enhanced humans are there? Maria asked. About 200 around the world, Alexander replied, including 50 children. And if we say no, then they'll take us by force and destroy the rest of humanity to make sure no more enhanced humans can be born. Maria looked at her son, who was staring out the window at the alien ships hanging in the sky like metal moons. Danny had grown so much in just a few weeks. He was still her little boy, but he was also becoming something more. There has to be another way, she said. Danny turned from the window with a look of determination that seemed too old for his 8-year-old face. There is another way, Mom, but it's dangerous, and the grown-ups aren't going to like it. What do you mean? I've been talking to the other enhanced kids. We have an idea, but we need the adults to trust us and let us try something that's never been done before. Alexander crossed his arms. What kind of idea? Danny smiled, and for a moment he looked like any other kid with a plan. We're going to show the Zephyrians what makes humans special. We're going to teach them about something they've never seen before. What's that? Love. Family. The reason why people like my mom would do anything to protect their children. The Zephyrians don't understand that kind of connection. But once they do, everything will change. The Zephyrian deadline was only hours away. All around the world, people watched the sky with fear. The alien ships hung above Earth like dark clouds, waiting for humanity's answer. Most governments wanted to surrender the enhanced humans to save everyone else. But Alexander had a different plan. You want to do what? General Morrison asked, staring at Danny and the other enhanced children gathered in the conference room. We want to connect with them, Danny said simply. All of us together. Show them what they're missing. Danny, these beings have destroyed entire civilizations, Alexander said gently. We can't risk your life on a plan that might not work. But it will work, said Katie, the enhanced girl who had become Danny's best friend over the past weeks. We've been practicing. When we link our minds together, we can feel things we never felt before. Maria knelt down beside Danny. Sweetheart, I don't understand what you're planning to do. Danny took her hand. Mom, remember when you used to sing to me when I was little and scared? And how that made me feel safe and loved? Of course. The Zephyrians have never felt anything like that. They don't have families or parents who love them. They just exist as individuals who think they're better than everyone else. What does that have to do with your plan? We're going to show them what it feels like to be human. What it feels like to love someone so much you'd do anything to protect them. What it feels like to be part of a family. Alexander frowned. How? Danny looked around the room at all the worried adults. The enhanced humans aren't just connected to each other. We're connected to every human on Earth in some way. When we link together, we can feel all the love and hope and fear that 7 billion people are feeling right now. And you think that will change the aliens' minds? I think it will show them something they've never seen before. Every other species they've found was just trying to survive as individuals. But humans are different. We take care of each other. We love each other. Even when we fight, we still care about our families and friends. Katie stepped forward. We can project those feelings into the Zephyrian ships, make them experience what it's like to be human. But we need everyone to help us. How can we help? Maria asked. Think about love, Danny said. Think about why you work so hard to take care of me. Think about how you felt when I was sick. Think about how you'd feel if someone tried to take me away from you. Maria felt tears in her eyes. I'd fight them with everything I have. That's what we need. That feeling, from everyone on Earth at the same time. The enhanced humans will gather all those feelings and send them to the Zephyrians. Alexander looked uncertain. Even if this works, what if it makes them angry instead of changing their minds? Then we'll fight, Danny said with surprising determination. But not with guns or bombs. We'll fight with the one thing they can't understand or defend against, which is hope, love. the belief that everyone deserves a chance to live and grow and become better. General Morrison shook his head. This is insane. We're talking about risking the entire planet on the feelings of a group of children. No, Maria said suddenly, standing up. We're talking about showing the universe what makes humanity worth saving. Over the next few hours, Alexander used his resources to send a message to every television station, radio broadcaster, and internet connection on Earth. The message was simple. At exactly noon, everyone on the planet should think about love. Think about their families, their children, their friends. Think about why life was worth living and fighting for. The enhanced humans gathered on the roof of Alexander's building. All 200 of them, from children like Danny to adults like Alexander himself. They stood in a circle, holding hands with the alien ships visible overhead. Maria and the other parents stood nearby, along with soldiers and scientists and ordinary people who had come to witness what might be humanity's last stand. Are you sure about this? Maria asked Danny one last time. Danny squeezed her hand. I've never been more sure of anything, Mom. This is why we changed. This is why we're here. At exactly noon, something amazing happened. Around the world, 7 billion people stopped what they were doing and thought about love. Parents thought about their children. Children thought about their families. Lovers thought about each other. Friends thought about friendship. Even strangers thought about the basic human kindness that connected them all. The enhanced humans felt it all. Every emotion, every memory, every feeling of love and hope and determination. Danny gasped as the feelings washed over him like a warm ocean. He could feel his mother's love for him, Alexander's determination to protect humanity, Katie's friendship, and millions of other connections stretching across the globe. Then they pushed all of those feelings outward, toward the Zephyrian ships. Inside the alien vessels, something unprecedented happened. The Zephyrians had minds designed for cold logic and individual survival. They had never experienced emotions like love, sacrifice, or hope. But suddenly, those feelings flooded their consciousness. A Zephyrian commander named Velkoth staggered as human emotions hit him like a physical blow. For the first time in his long life, he felt what it was like to care about someone else more than himself. He experienced a mother's desperate love for her sick child. He felt a father's pride in his daughter's accomplishments. He felt the warmth of friendship and the pain of loss and the joy of reunion. Other Zephyrians across the fleet were having similar experiences. They felt what it was like to be part of something bigger than themselves. They understood for the first time why humans would fight to protect each other instead of just trying to save themselves. Back on Earth, the enhanced humans were glowing, with a soft light as they channeled humanity's collective emotions. Danny felt like he was connected to every person on the planet. He could feel their hopes and dreams and fears, but most of all, he could feel their love. It's working, Katie whispered. I can feel them changing. The Zephyrian ships, which had been moving closer to Earth, suddenly stopped. Inside the vessels, heated debates were breaking out. Many Zephyrians were arguing that humans were too dangerous to live, but others were saying something different. They're not dangerous, Velkoth argued with his superiors. They're evolved. They've found something we lost millions of years ago. What are you talking about? Connection. Purpose, beyond survival. The ability to care about others as much as themselves. This isn't a defect. This is what we should have become. The human emotions were still flowing into the Zephyrian ships. Soldiers who had destroyed countless worlds were weeping as they experienced a grandmother's love for her grandchildren. Scientists who had coldly analyzed the extinction of species were overwhelmed by the feeling of a teacher helping students learn and grow. On Earth, Maria watched her son with amazement and pride. Danny was still just 8 years old, but he was helping to save the world not with violence or technology, but with the simple power of human connection. How long can they keep this up? Alexander asked. As long as they need to, Maria replied. As long as it takes to show them who we really are. The light around the enhanced humans grew brighter, and the emotions flowing to the alien ships grew stronger. Humanity was making its stand not with weapons, but with love. The emotions had been flowing for 3 hours. The enhanced humans on the rooftop were exhausted but still holding strong. Around the world, people continued to focus on love and hope, not knowing if their efforts were working but refusing to give up. Inside the Zephyrian command ship, chaos had broken out. Half the crew wanted to destroy Earth immediately before the strange human emotions could affect them anymore. The other half was arguing that they needed to understand what was happening to them. Velkoth, the Zephyrian commander, sat alone in his quarters, overwhelmed by feelings he had no words for. He had just experienced what it felt like when a human mother risked her life to save her child from a burning building, the selflessness, the instant decision to put someone else's safety before your own, was completely alien to everything the Zephyrians believed. A young Zephyrian scout named Zara entered his quarters. She was trembling, her usually cold gray eyes now wet with something that looked like tears. "Commander, I don't understand what's happening to me," she said. "I keep feeling things that make no sense. I want to protect beings I've never met. I want to help instead of conquer." Velkoth looked at her with new understanding. "I feel it too. The humans are showing us something we lost long ago, if we ever had it at all. What should we do?" Before he could answer, an alarm sounded throughout the ship. On Earth, something new was happening. Danny collapsed to his knees on the rooftop, but he wasn't giving up. He was smiling. "It's working," he whispered to his mother. "Some of them are changing. I can feel it." "What do you mean?" Maria asked, kneeling beside him. "There's a young one on their ship. She's scared and confused, but she's starting to understand. She wants to help us instead of hurt us." Alexander looked up at the alien ships. "What can we do to help her?" "We need to show her that she's not alone," Danny said. "That even when you're different or scared, you can still find people who care about you." Katie, the other enhanced girl, nodded. "Like how Maria took care of Danny when he was changing. Like how you helped them even though you didn't know them." Danny reached out with his mind, focusing on the young Zephyrian he had sensed. Across the emptiness of space, he projected a simple message. "You're not alone. We understand what it's like to be different." On the Zephyrian ship, Zara gasped as she felt the message from Earth. For the first time in her life, someone was offering her comfort instead of demanding obedience. She reached back with her own mind, a skill Zephyrians rarely used. "I don't understand these feelings, they're so strong." Danny smiled even though he was getting tired. "That's love. That's what happens when you care about someone else." "But why do you care about me? You don't even know me." "Because you're scared and alone and nobody should have to feel that way." The connection between Danny and Zara grew stronger. Through their link, she could feel not just Danny's kindness, but Maria's love for her son, Alexander's determination to protect humanity, and the care that all the enhanced humans had for each other. "This is what you're fighting for?" Zara asked in wonder. "This is what we live for," Danny replied. "Taking care of each other, making sure nobody has to be alone or afraid." On the command deck of the Zephyrian ship, the argument was getting louder. The military leaders wanted to end the human emotion attack by destroying the planet. But more and more crew members were starting to question their orders. "These feelings are making us weak," snarled General Crix, the fleet commander. "The humans are infecting us with their defective emotions." "Maybe we're the ones who are defective," Velkoth said quietly. "What did you say?" "Look around, General. Look at what we've become. We travel from world to world, destroying everything that's different from us. We don't create anything, we don't build anything, we just take and destroy. That's the natural order. The strong survive, the weak perish. But what if we're wrong? What if the humans have found something better than just surviving?" Young Zara stood up from her station. "Commander Velkoth is right. I've been connected to one of the human children. He offered to help me even though I'm part of the force that wants to destroy his world. When was the last time any of us offered to help? Someone weaker than ourselves?" Other crew members began to murmur agreement. The human emotions had shown them possibilities they had never imagined. cooperation instead of domination, love instead of fear, hope instead of despair. General Crix raised his weapon. This infection ends now. I'll destroy the planet myself if I have to. But as he moved toward the controls, dozens of his own crew members stepped in his way. For the first time in Zephyrian history, soldiers were refusing to follow orders that would cause unnecessary death. Stand aside, Crix ordered. No, Velkoth said simply. We won't be part of destroying something beautiful just because we're afraid of it. Back on Earth, Danny felt the conflict happening on the alien ship. They're fighting each other, he told the others. Some want to destroy us, but others want to protect us. What can we do to help? Alexander asked. Show them what happens when different people work together instead of fighting, Danny said. Show them what they could become. The enhanced humans joined hands again, but this time they weren't just sending human emotions to the ships. They were inviting the changed Zephyrians to be part of their connection, to feel what it was like to be part of a family that included everyone, even former enemies. Zara felt the invitation first. Tentatively, she opened her mind to the human network. Suddenly she was connected not just to Danny but to Maria, Alexander, Katie, and hundreds of other enhanced humans around the world. She felt their acceptance, their willingness to include her in their circle of care. Other Zephyrians began to join the connection too. Commander Velkoth felt what it was like to be part of something bigger than himself. Scientists who had spent centuries studying death and destruction suddenly understood the joy of helping life grow and flourish. The network of minds grew larger and stronger, humans and Zephyrians working together, sharing emotions and thoughts and dreams. General Crix found himself alone at the weapons controls. Most of his crew had joined the human-Zephyrian connection and were experiencing peace for the first time in their lives. You're all fools, he snarled and reached for the firing button. But before he could press it, Zara appeared beside him. The young scout who had been confused and frightened was now calm and determined. General, let me show you something, she said, and gently touched his mind with the connection she had learned from the humans. For a moment, Crix felt what the others had felt: love, hope, the willingness to sacrifice for others. It terrified him, but it also showed him how empty his life had been. He stepped away from the weapons console and sat down heavily in his chair. What have we been doing all these centuries? He whispered. What we thought we had to do to survive, Velkoth said gently. But the humans have shown us a better way. The Zephyrian fleet began to change course, moving away from Earth. But they weren't leaving forever. They were positioning themselves to become protectors instead of destroyers. Danny felt the shift and smiled up at his mother. They're going to stay and help us. They want to learn how to be like humans. What does that mean for us? Maria asked. It means Danny and the other enhanced humans will have teachers, Alexander said. And it means humanity just gained some very powerful friends. As the sun set over Earth, Maria held her son and watched the alien ships take new positions around the planet. The desperate text message she had sent months ago to the wrong number had led to this moment. Her little boy had helped save the world, not with violence, but with the simple power of human kindness. I'm proud of you, she whispered to Danny. I couldn't have done it without you, Mom. It was your love that taught me how to love others. Above them, human and Zephyrian minds continued to share thoughts and feelings across the stars. Earth had survived its first contact with aliens not by proving humans were the strongest, but by proving they were the most willing to care for others. And in the vast universe, other species would soon learn that there was a new alliance in the galaxy. One based not on fear and conquest, but on love and hope and the belief that everyone deserved a chance to become something better than they were.